And we are live. It is November 7th, 2019, and Dave B's Tech just got in.
Yo, Dave B's chat.
Yeah, what's up, buddy? How are you, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, man. I feel like it's kind of a celebratory evening.
Oh, I agree. I'm really excited about the news that we got today.
I almost feel like not to say we won the lottery as customers, as consumers in the wireless market, but I mean there's reason to be happy. I think there's a lot of people out there that are probably thinking to themselves like, man, it feels good to maybe have some new options, some new initiatives, new promotions, things that could spark innovation in the marketplace, whether it's pricing and offers and whatever else. There's a lot to be optimistic about moving forward in wireless.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing, what they do. Like the fact that this whole first responder thing, I think that's a really, really cool idea.
Yeah, there's a few, actually there's probably 5 items we really got to talk about. Obviously the 3 initiatives, and then like how they're doing 5G and features and pricing, and like there's some of that stuff. And then surprisingly, I think we got some insight on what's going to happen with John post merger. Some of it will be kind of speculation from my end, but I'll run it by you, Dave, and we'll talk about it. And we'll get the pulse of the people. We'll see what they say based on what we saw and heard from the executives over at T-Mobile. Now, this is going to be tough to do. We have 59 in the live chat right now. I want to thank you guys for being here this evening. There's probably going to be a lot going on in terms of chat. I'll pop in there when I can. I'll definitely be relying heavily upon the moderators. I see there's quite a few of us out there. I see Pete. I know Rafi's somewhere out there for sure. We'll see what we have for moderators. I don't even know where to start with the live chat. So I guess I'll just go to the beginning and kind of do roll call for a minute, but then we're just gonna have to run through all of this, and I'll highlight all of the key announcement pieces, and then we'll do our analysis of each item, and then we'll go through some of the other news and updates we got from John in regards to like, moving forward, how the network is going to be performing and what they're investing in and all of that good stuff. So, Dave, I first got to ask you, like, did you watch?
Oh,
Or
absolutely. I watched.
Were you in on it?
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of buzz, man.
I could not have missed that.
Ricky Florida Keys is in the house. Pete B, he's here. He'll be moderating tonight, I believe. Maverick's in the house. We got Jason here. Tom's here. Let's see what else. From others. I see a lot of the. Okay, Frankie's here. Stace is in the house. Martin is here. Faye is in the house. Good to have you guys. Thanks for stopping by this evening. Faye with the super chat. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. That would mark the first super chat of the evening. So thank you for that kind and generous donation. It may get a little bit messy in the live tonight. A super chat's probably going to be the easiest way to get your comment or questions addressed. I don't know how, because something tells me we're going to have quite a few people here. We got 74 as of right now. Good to have you guys. Welcome and good evening to all. Daniel's in the house. Martin with the super chat. Thanks, Martin. Appreciate it. Another $10 super chat from Martin.
And
Thank
Yasmin.
you again. Yeah, going straight to the Yasmin Foundation of College. Try to save up some money for the little one. Billy's here. Rafi's in the house. There's the big wrench right there. Attaboy. See ya. Tech for Your Needs is in the house. If you guys could, as you are coming in, please do say hello to the SMT and Dave B's Tech and hit that like button on your way in. Much appreciated. Max is here. Good to have you on. Ricky says I'm late. Thanks, Ricky. I'm not live. What? Man, I hope this is working. All right. Jacob, good to have you on. Francis, good to have you on as well. Ryan is here this evening. Willie's in the house. Gary is here. Ronald is here. Cox back at it again. What's going on?
You mean raising prices?
Oh God. I was telling them on the
Wouldn't
last
surprise me.
right. I was telling them on the last live stream, like I would gladly give up the 300 megabits per second or whatever they're giving me, just to have a good old reliable T-Mobile home internet.
See, that's the
Siova.
thing is I actually agree with that. You know, I'd be willing to give up a higher speed connection for a company I believe in.
I think there's something to be said about dependability, reliability, trust. You know, getting what you're paying for. What's up, Sean? Faye says, "What if you don't want to go to T-Mobile and you have a contract with Sprint?" The option is, I mean, if you are a Sprint customer as of now, the way the merger is headed, you're either gonna, be inherited as a T-Mobile customer, or you're gonna be looking for a different carrier. Joeseph is here.
Maybe go with Dish or something.
Matt Dubb, and you would still be on the T-Mobile network.
That's true.
Actually Dish 5G though. It might be depending on the market because they are going to be doing their own 5G thing.
I guess you could go with Dumb and Dumber, but that'd be about your only two options, really.
What's up, John? Good to have you on. Dave, back at it again. You know how he does things. I lost my spot. Let's see here. All right, Rafi, thanks for the audio and the video check. Luis is here. Nelson is here. Yeah, we're live, buddy. Hey, Gregory, good to have you on, sir. Tom, Verizon is the last responders. That's good stuff. What's up, Lawrence? Good to have you on, man. Appreciate you being here. Jamaal's in the house. Long time supporter and subscriber here on the channel and patron. Thank you for being here. Brandon's in the house.
While T-Mobile's over here helping first responders, Verizon's over there throttling people in the face of wildfires and crap.
That was really bad from last year, man. 18, right? 2018?
I think so. They've gotten so much heck for that, though. Like, I don't think they had anticipated the amount of backlash for that.
You always come online already in session. Would you recap what we missed? I didn't. What? Is there like a disconnect between when notifications get sent out?
Yeah, normally notifications get sent out just a little after the actual stream starts. Some people, what they do is they buffer it. They'll buffer it with like a minute worth of like music or something like that, like copyright free music or whatever, and then they'll go into their stream.
Got you. Okay, Caleb, good to have you on. Gene is here. Angel is here. Jesse's in the house. Man, I'm trying to catch up. Eric, good to have you. See over with the super chat, super duper Sneed Nation super chat. Thanks, bro. Appreciate the kind and generous donation. Supporting the SMT channel. Thank you. Yuki's in the house. Ahlan, Yuki. We got Eddie Anderson's here. Daniel is here. Antonio's in the house. Nelson is here. Steve Sanchez in the house. Raymond. Minister. Santiago. I don't even, am I almost there? I think I'm close. Mills Lane is here. I'm just trying to get to everybody, man. Tech for your needs. Good to have you on, Lou. Randy. All right, cool. We are up to speed. Okay, 91 in the live. Awesome. Great start to the live stream. Glad you guys could be here for the podcast. I have Dave B's Tech with me. Appreciate your patience, Dave, before we get started to do the roll call. I just like to acknowledge, the SMT Nation, all the Sneedles out there, all the Sneedlings, as they say. And
no, 91. I remember when your podcast had like 10 or 15 live viewers.
And that I thought it was pretty good at 10 and 15 when I first started. This podcast is being brought to you by the amazing power of green tea, the power to detoxify and hydrate and be delicious all in one.
I'm a chai tea kind of guy.
It's pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I'm too picky. I do enjoy the hot drinks, especially now with I don't know if you guys follow my Twitter feed. Big shout out to Sneed Tech on the Twitter handle at Sneed Tech. I'm trying to tweet stuff, and I think I was doing one tweet a week, and then now I'm up to probably 3 or 4 tweets a week. My goal is to be at 1 tweet per day, and then eventually get to a couple tweets, like, whatever's going on with wireless and news. But like, I tweeted a video of like the snow, and it's already here. Like, screw fall. We're just going to start dumping snow everywhere. So that's what's going on right now in Cleveland.
We only got like a little bit of it. Like, we got a bit of a dusting this morning, and then I think the next time we're going to have a real good chance for it Sunday.
It's coming, dude.
I know. It's unfortunate.
What's up, Vincent? Good to have you on. All right, so here's the deal. Hey, Alan. Good to have you on, sir. Yeah, it's a big day. Definitely. Totally agree. All right, Chase from Legos is in the house. Good to have you on. Lawrence, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. So here's the situation. We got a bunch of news from T-Mobile today. John was in full effect. There was like videos with him and Mike Sievert. We're going to talk about that later. I'm going to talk a little bit about John's exit strategy. But before we do that, let's just talk about the initiative, shall we?
Sure.
3 of them, Dave.
I was shocked. They said they were going to be announcing 3 things, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be good.
And then like a couple of updates. Like there was a lot, man. Let's unpack. Okay. So this Uncarrier move marks the first Uncarrier 1.0 for the new T-Mobile. They called it 5G for good. And I really like that because I know what they meant by 5G for good. Not as in like 5G forever, like for good as in like, it's always going to be here, but like 5G for good as in it's for the good of the people.
The purpose, yeah. The initiatives are really good. Like what they're doing is good for the communities.
Agreed, man. They addressed probably 2 or 3 major groups of people that could use the support. I think that suits well for the merger. I think the optics are really, really good publicly. I think courts are probably going to kind of see the perception of this. The timing's impeccable. It's really couldn't have come at a better time when you're about to get to litigation in December. So we're about a month
they did
out.
that on purpose.
Oh, can't be. I mean, I would say they probably have had this planned for probably 2 or 3 months, like completely mapped out. They knew exactly what they were going to say, and they were rehearsing it. So
I would agree.
Yeah, I think it's been in place for a while. All right, so what I will say is starting with the first announcement, it was all about connecting heroes. That was the name of the first initiative, Connecting Heroes. So this is going to qualify public, nonprofit, first responders. First thing that comes to my mind is EMS, police, and fire. And it's an extension of what they did with the discount plan. So they're still going to be giving first responders and their families 50% off, right? That's the agreement. They've got that. That's public. They did that last, 2 weeks ago?
Last week, 2 weeks, yes.
Yeah. So it's been around for a while. But we didn't have much for details. They waited. Here's what they did. Starting in 2020, they're going to first responders plans, 5G access included, and they're also going to give them the highest network priority. So that was something we didn't know before. So they gave us that. They gave us that little tidbit. So they didn't tell us about any type of priority at the time. They did tell us about that today. They also said that to get the service, it's going to be first come, first serve. So it doesn't mean that it's limited. It doesn't mean that it's going to expire. It just means you got to sign up for it. You're going to be on a list. And then they'll probably authorize you accordingly as you come. And I thought this was kind of interesting in addressing the priority questions. And this is after the announcement. There were some people that were calling in on the calls. They spoke about, they asked about the priority and they said, are there any data caps? They specifically said, no, there's no data cap. They asked about throttling. They said no throttling at all. And they also said no deprioritization. So that means that this is the highest of priorities are going to the first responders that are on this particular plan. And if you think about that, Dave, that's essentially what AT&T is doing. Anybody who's on the first responders, first net contract type of plan, they're getting this type of treatment. So I don't know. I don't know if the whole family is going to get this treatment because, they're doing first responders family. But I know that the first responders themselves are going to get this priority.
I'm kind of wondering if that is phone based from whatever volunteer or company you're working with. So like, perhaps if like your fire or EMS like dispatcher company provides you a phone, I'm wondering if it's that, because I don't see them doing it for everybody's personal accounts. Like, okay, you on this account get the first responders priority. You on this account, like all those different accounts. I could see them doing it as one account as the entire actual like business, and then those lines all get that priority. So your work issues you a phone, and that's the priority you get with it.
So yeah, I mean, those are good points to consider. It'll be like a line by line basis, a phone by phone basis. Maybe they ask them to have a certain type of hardware. Maybe there'll be a hardware deal, a contract or something of some sort. We'll see. You never know. It's not really a big deal though. In my eyes, it could just be iPhones. It could be Galaxies, whatever. Doesn't really matter. But you definitely are going to want, full compatibility with all parts of the network. Everything from 600 megahertz LT and 5G to band 66 and 71. You're going to want all of it. So it's going to be newer devices for sure. So that was the first initiative. Initiative number 2, which T-Mobile calls Project 10 Million. So they addressed first responders, then they address the homework gap, is what they refer to it as. Homes that are low income, rural, or have limited to no home connectivity. What they're doing is they're going to offer people 5 years of free service. The goal is to provide service to 10 million households. Apparently, there are about 35 million households with children in the U.S. This would cover about 1/3 of them, coming in at about 10 million households. The 5 years of service provides 100 gigs of data every year for free if you qualify. They will give you a hotspot for free. And they are going to be offering at cost pricing on a lot of different pieces of hardware, devices, things like that. Carlos, thanks for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it, man. So, Dave, what do you think about that, man?
I almost don't know how I feel about the 100 gig thing, because I know when I was in school, I had assignments where I had to watch like YouTube videos and things like that for the educational pieces of them. And I feel like that 100 gig could get eaten up kind of quickly with assignments like that. For your standard documents and stuff like that, okay, fine. I definitely see that. But I almost feel like 100 gigs might not be enough.
I think, okay, so if you were going to break that down into math, if you were using 5, 10, what are you coming at? About 11, right? You're doing about 11 gigs a month if you're going to split that into 12, right?
A little less.
10, so 10 and a half or something.
10 would be 120.
Right.
And so that's a little high.
Okay, so
it'd be
we're
like
coming at like 9. Okay. So you're right. That's not a lot. I mean, you can't really argue that it's an abundance of data. But what I will say, Dave, is who's to say that 100 gigs of like Google Docs, Google Sheets, Gmail, like that stuff can be manageable. But when you think about like YouTube videos, I think they're going to have to send some literature to these people, how to conserve data usage. How do you bring down video resolution so you could save on data? I think some of that has to be managed. And
I would agree.
Bit rate, frame rates, like all this stuff counts, in producing video. So like, I think some of that has to be managed possibly. And maybe there comes a point where they're like, okay, well, if you're going to use your 100, here's your second lifeline. They offer you something at an extremely low price. Like maybe they charge you $10 a month for unlimited the rest of the way. If you use like the 100 gigs in the first 8 months or 9 months. So the next 3 months, pay $10 a month. We're going to give you another 100 or something like that. I don't know. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, that sounds like it could work.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, there's definitely going to be families that are going to be pushing a couple hundred gigs, even if it is just for school.
Another thing that, maybe manage a video down to like 480p, just like they do on the standard cell plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I could definitely see the gigs getting used. Carlos agrees. Homework in 3 months. Yeah, it's true. You wouldn't be using it necessarily in the summertime, so that's true. Uh, but you want to stay connected. Something tells me people are going to want to continue to use it.
I mean, if they have it, they're going to use it, whether it's for school or not.
Right now, Dave, which carrier is doing something like this?
None of them. I mean, they all have like plans that are similar, but this is a really bold move. Because it mentioned that 35 million people, households have kids, but then that's all 100. If that's all 100% of kids, then you've got to consider how many of those might be in a situation where they might qualify for this. Maybe 10 to 15% of that 35 million would be in, so, maybe 5-6 million or something like that. And then they have some extras if they need them. Or even
Thanks,
if they do
Mills Lane.
give out all
Appreciate
10,
the super chat. Go ahead,
even
Dave.
if they do give out all 10 million, then I think that will greatly cover most, if not all, of the target audience that they're going for here.
We got 120 in the live. 120 in the live. I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Please do like the video on the way in. We are talking about the new T-Mobile initiatives with the Uncarrier 1.0 announcement from today, covering all the details. It's good to have you guys here tonight. Me and Dave are here discussing the topics and the Uncarrier moves, and we're very excited to discuss this. I think the Project 10 million is ambitious. I think the Project 10 million offers connectivity to people under all circumstances. For those that qualify, it gives them connectivity. How they go about getting more is a whole nother issue. I just feel like this is a nice way to go because it exceeds what is offered by Lifeline. When you think about like quote unquote the Obama phone, right? This is a little bit different. I think with this, you're getting probably a higher priority. You're getting better speeds. We're going to assume it's LTE speeds, right? High speed.
Most likely.
And I thought it was brilliant when John spoke and was asked about it. He said it's going to vary state to state. And why that's important is because some states are going to be in more need. Like Mississippi, for example, will need this more than Illinois. And Mississippi is going to need it more than Ohio. Like in terms of like population and how many companies are serving home internet, because in rural places, there's less options, there's higher pricing. This is where T-Mobile slides in and offers relief. So I'm all for it. I think, it addresses a little bit of rural need. It addresses a socioeconomic gap, the homework gap, as they call it. They're dumping $10 billion into this, Dave.
That's an amazing investment. And I really, knowing T-Mobile and knowing the way they act, I really think if they set their minds to doing this, they will get it done.
It's awesome. Like I said, I don't know how they'll do priority exactly. I don't know how they'll do speeds precisely. I mean, we didn't get details like that. But if they were giving people 5 to 10 megabits per second for a device, it's good. And in most places, most places, they could probably offer 40 to 50 megs, which means you can connect a couple of devices in case you've got your phone connected for like accessing email, maybe accessing like Google Classroom, and then you've got a laptop or a Chromebook connected. Maybe you're watching a video or something of that sort. I mean, whatever the case may be, I'm sure they're going to offer people a decent option there. So that's the Project 10 million. So number one was connecting heroes. That was the first responders situation. Number two is the Project 10 million, which they're investing 10 billion. And then the third initiative is T-Mobile Connect. All right, now this one's interesting. Here's all the actual factuals on this one. 122 in the live. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Please like the video on the way in. All right, so T-Mobile Connect. They're going to take their two cheapest LTE data plans. They're going to cut them in half, give you a 50% discount. They're going to do the $30 plan, cut it to $15. It's going to give you unlimited talk and text and 2 gigs of LTE data. I'll call that the minimalist plan. It offers you unlimited talk and text, a little bit of LTE in case you need it. It is by no means a main form of connectivity. Most people on that plan are going to be 90 to 95% connected to Wi-Fi.
I was gonna say I could do that plan quite well.
Always on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, because I think like my heaviest months on data are like a gig, maybe a gig and a half.
So then that fits that bill. I'm sure there's going to be people who, like I said, minimalist, don't need tons of LTE, probably don't even use much for GPS and navigation. Just to know that you have the peace of mind that you have connectivity if you have to search for something, look for something, you've got some LTE data. That's one of the 2 plans. The second plan is the $50 plan, which gets reduced to $25, unlimited talk and text, 5 gigs of LTE data. $25 for unlimited talk and text and 5 gigs of LTE data is pretty fair.
I would agree.
For a lot of people that fits the bill. Like, there's probably, I don't know, there's probably a segment of people that 5 gigs is a sweet spot.
Because Mint offers something like that too, I believe. But Mint, you have to lock yourself into pricing for X number of months, and whereas this is month to month.
I feel like maybe I possibly missed a super chat. Oh, I want to give a big shout out to Rafi. Thank you for your PayPal donation earlier, Raf. I caught it. Thank you for that donation. Much appreciated. I don't see any other super chat unless it's just not showing in StreamYard. So if anybody provided a super chat, thank you to you. I'm just not able to see it, so not sure where it is. Maybe it was Mills Lane, possibly. Thanks for the super chat, Mills Lane. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Big salute to you, my friend. Yeah, I think it hits the sweet spot for some people. Now, they did offer some guarantees, Dave, on this. 5-year guarantee. So they did the 5-year guarantee on the Project 10 million for the people with the low income and the rural situation. This is also a 5-year guarantee. Here's kind of something cool, though. Jamil, thank you for the super chat, bro.
It's going to go up every year.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Jamil, again, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate the donation. Always so generous and kind. Thank you, man. Each year, they're going to give you bonus data, annual data upgrade. So you're going to start at 2 gigs. Let's say you're on that $15 plan. In 2020, let's say you get this. You're at 2 gigs. In 2021, you're going to be at 2.5. 2022, you'll be at 3, right? It's going to go up a half a gig of data each year. It's just something nice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see any other carriers doing something like that. Them give you free data. What are you like on?
What was that, Dave?
Like the other carriers saying them give you free data. What are you on? Because that's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Nobody's doing this type of thing. And then to kind of add on to this, they're doing the same thing with the 5 gig plan. So each year add a half a gig of data. So within a few years, you're up getting 6 and 7 and possibly 7.5 gigs of data, which is nice. So if you ever go above or beyond, what is a super sticker? Is there some kind of like new super chat thing that's going on? I don't see anything. It's not showing in StreamYard.
Well, I know about a super chat and a pot sticker. Maybe it's a combo.
Okay. Yeah, Raph, I can't see. There's something that's whatever sticker you guys are doing, it's not showing in StreamYard, so I can't see it. Ref, I can't see him. All I see, the last thing I saw was Jamil's super chat. That was it. So something's not visible to me. The one thing I will say about this particular plan, the T-Mobile Connect, it includes 5G access. I gotta ask something, bro. Why? Why did they come out and say it includes 5G access?
I think it's that whole price point thing. It's like, oh well, we're gonna give you 5G for $15 or $25. Who else is gonna do that? Although I do see your point about the fact that 5G would eat that data for breakfast.
Because one movie is 5 gigs. And that person's
it really
done
depends
for the
on
month, right?
It really depends on what you do. As I said, I can
I mean, it'd
go
be
an
cool to
entire month or
download an app
whatever.
in a second, right?
Right. Like as I said, I can go an entire month and use maybe a gig and a half, 2 kind of maximum. If I'm on vacation, like 2.5.
Yeah, I didn't really understand why they felt compelled to include mentioning 5G access there, but I mean, fine, it's cool. Because Dave,
I think it's just
if you're who is spending $1,000 to $1,500 on a device and then going on one of these $15 or $25 plans?
me.
Really?
No, I wouldn't spend that much for
Oh,
the device. That's for
okay. All
that's
right.
for
I was
darn
gonna
certain.
say. Now, if you brought
No,
your own, like say you bought a OnePlus 7T Pro 5G a year from now, and the price, what, 450 maybe?
yeah, okay. Then I could see doing that, but
Okay,
I'm
and
not
then
buying a
having the occasional
$1,500
5G
device.
connectivity. Right. I'm with you, man. And that's why people are like, "Yo, when's Metro getting 5G?" Are you serious?
You know what I'd do though? I'd get that phone when I'd get the phone for like 450, and then I'd use it just to look at the 5G icon. Be like, ooh, 5G icon.
Oh, yummy, yummy 5G.
do do a speed test on it. Be like,
Yeah.
ooh, 700 megabits a second. I'm a nerd in case you haven't noticed.
MT Houston, Texas, man. Thank you for the super sticker. All right, thank you. Guys, I can't see the super stickers on StreamYard. I'm gonna try to figure that out. Why I can't access that. As for the Hangout situation, okay, so Pete, if you could send me updates on that whole thing, that would be great. Whoever sends me a sticker, please, Pete, if you could just screenshot that and send it over on Hangouts, that'd be sweet. So I can acknowledge them and stuff. So yeah, I see the super sticker from, what is that? Looks like Jamaal, or no, that's Ronald. I see Ronald super sticker. Thanks for the donation. Those things are cool, man. Can you guys see them? Can you guys see those super stickers? Everybody sees that in the live. That's kind of cool. Okay. So I see Ronald. I see somebody else. Looks like MT Houston, Texas. I see you. Okay. That's pretty cool. Nice. All right. So Pete, if you could just share those with me whenever you get a chance. Thank you. All right. Bobby, good to have you on. John's here. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Please do like the video on your way in. We got 132 in the live. Big time live stream tonight. Thank you guys for being here. To kind of wrap things up with that whole T-Mobile Connect, Dave, pricing, they said, could decrease in time. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Jamil, thank you for sending the 2 stickers. Go ahead, Dave.
with these new technologies, quite frankly, I think prices almost should decrease, especially after the initial investment phase. Because yeah, you get that whole like in like that whole initial investment where you got to spend tons and tons and tons of money to get it to work. But then after that, after you stopped having to invest to like put that new tech in, the prices of delivering the data should actually go down simply because of the fact that it's easier to deliver that same amount of data or more.
We saw that
It
with
gets easier to
LTE.
deliver. It's easier to deliver 2 gigs of data on LTE than it is on 3G. It's physically easier for the carrier.
That's
They
true.
have less like stuff to do.
Resources.
Mm-hmm.
Totally true. And people are failing to
spectrum.
realize, yeah, it's like LTE's going nowhere. LTE's doing most of the heavy lifting on networks. The 5G is going to be situational. And I mean, Dave, when is 90% of the population going to have a 5G phone? 2030?
25.
2025? So 5 years from January 1st, 90% of the population will have a 5G phone.
I would say so. 85, 90, something like that.
Okay. All right. Now, in terms of who qualifies for the T-Mobile Connect, anybody qualifies. There is no requirements. There's no, what they call it? Oh, we got Willie Watson with the sticker. Thanks for the donation, bro. Uh, they said no requirements. There's no income threshold you got to meet. Nothing like that. We'll see what priority, if that has anything to do with it. We'll see if there's any speed restriction. But something tells me it'll be serviceable. You'll never be like, crawling at a standstill or anything like that. But like you said, it's definitely going to be LTE. They're going to try to probably de-emphasize 5G there. It's not going to be like a main thing, like a main selling point.
I almost think I might recommend this to my sister-in-law, because her and my mother-in-law are on a plan together, and I think they share 6 gigs, and she uses most of it. If she got her own plan, then I think that would be really good for her, especially at $25.
It's a really good price because it's going from 50 to 25. It's good. A lot of people that are on MVNOs that are on similar plans are probably paying that much, but you're going to be treated on postpaid priority here.
I'll tell you what, when I saw that, if it weren't for my customer service on Ting, I would consider that. There's been a lot of offers that the carriers have actually given, especially, Visible and T-Mobile here, that I would have actually considered had I not want to get rid of the customer service that I have on Ting. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think T-Mobile's going to stick to that customer care initiative. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that's what's kind of earned them this reputation, addressing customer pain points and making people feel appreciated, and customer care supporting them. I mean, it's meaningful. People realize that because in most cases, carriers are carriers, but one that is sensitive to what you need and is responsive. I mean, that's why T-Mobile has become successful. They've done things differently. They're the Uncarrier.
I think the state attorney generals are going to have a really hard time convincing with this lawsuit. Like, if they were going to have a hard time before, I think they're really going to have a devil of it now.
Yeah, let's get to that in a second. Merger. So let's go ahead and develop that idea. All attorneys generals are apparently attorneys general, apparently have been talking to T-Mobile. John mentioned it personally. He said attorneys general appear to be open to negotiations with the exception of 2. Can you guess who they are, Dave?
California and New York.
You got it, man. Those are the only 2 states that are not engaging in talks with T-Mobile. John said that. Like, he said there was no hostility. He was obviously diplomatic. And, he said, every state is in communications with us except New York and California. And he said he did send letters to Letitia James, which means...
And he said he was building centers in New York to create jobs. It's like, okay.
Dave, you know what this does right here is it proves the point. There's nothing that is going to suffice to convince Letitia James to just back off. There's nothing that can be said, nothing that can be done. There's nothing, there's no promise, there's no guarantee, there's no job promise, there's no plan locks, price locks. She has no interest in making any deals. She is, and you know why? Because she's got the CWA all up in her. She can't shake them. She took those campaign contributions. She can't shake the monkeys off her back.
Yep, and that's what happens when you do this. Is like you end up in a rock between a rock and a hard place. The CWA doesn't want the merger. It's gonna happen anyway. They might as well back off. But she took their money and she said, "I'll do my best" or whatever. And now she's stuck in between a rock and a hard place, and that's her own fault. I don't feel sorry for her.
Me neither. And she's not going to be able to do anything for her people.
they're
if
going to
she
walk
is
into court.
representing them, right?
Nope. If they're going to walk into court on December 9th, and I very seriously think that judge is going to look at them, be like, okay, what's your problem here? They're going to tell them the problem, and then the judge is going to be like, what have you done, T-Mobile, to address these problems? Well, we've done this, this, this. We've announced these three initiatives or whatever, and we're creating jobs in these states. And the judge is going to be like, get out of my courtroom.
It's going to be bad, and I think they're just ready to lose, but they just have to follow through. Like, she's just riding through this because she has to. She feels obligated. The CWA. I think Pete brought up a good point. We had this discussion a couple of weeks ago. Pete said, why doesn't T-Mobile just unionize? Because Sprint and T-Mobile aren't union-based. So if they unionized, maybe that addresses that issue with the CWA. Because Verizon and AT&T are both unionized, and the CWA supports and is supported by AT&T and Verizon. I'm sure their contracts are there too.
I can say that I don't know enough about unions in the country to really speak to that point.
Yeah, I just that's how I see it. We also got some network news, network updates from John and Mike Sievert and Neville. Well, I'll get back to Sievert shortly, but in terms of network stuff, Neville spoke of the LTE doubling in speeds within a few years, seeing 100 plus megabits per second. That's on the LTE side. So for those that don't upgrade to a 5G device, you are still going to be benefiting from LTE upgrades. So that means more band 71. That means, more mid-band upgrades as well. Good question, Tech for Your Needs. Honestly, the whole unionization thing, it's really just about the people that work, about them being protected, about them, increasing wages and health benefits and families being taken care of, stuff like that. So it's more of a workers union, right? The Communication Workers of America. Everybody pays into those unions, and they get pretty strong with lawyering up, as they say. It's just another one of those things, right? There's unions in all types of lines of work. That's one of them. 5G. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, just real quickly here, I don't know about Sprint, but T-Mobile seems to treat their employees really well.
They do.
You talk to, you go to the store and ask, you talk to the employees, even outside of work, and ask them, what do you think of your job? And a lot of them say they like it.
It's the unionization wouldn't be about making the employees feel better about it. It's actually just about appeasing the CWA. Because T-Mobile just doesn't have a union. It's not that they don't want it. It just appears like they don't have it for whatever reason. It could be a DT thing. It could be Deutsche Telekom that doesn't want it.
So it's the fact that the CWA wants money, and that's all there is to it.
Exactly. And they want job protections. They want, that. And that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, if it came down to it, would T-Mobile be willing to unionize to close the deal? I don't see how that could be a deal breaker, but I mean, if it were, I'd say they should do it. Who cares, right? I mean, it really doesn't matter in the long run. It could be just water under the bridge. 5G network stuff. They told us about the plan, a little bit more details. 600 megahertz low band will be the primary. You ready for this, Dave?
Yep, 2.5.
So December 6th will be the initial deployment of 600 megahertz low band 5G. December 6th is the day before the SMT's birthday. December 7th, I'll be 36 years old. So we will be celebrating the SMT's 36th birthday, and we'll be celebrating low band 5G, 5G for all, T-Mobile 5G. We'll do all that there within that same 24-hour period. So I'm very excited to report that. And I'll be having my tinfoil hat. I'll be doing my little Alex Jones. I'll be doing my thing. The 2.5 gigahertz will be coming after the fact, Dave. So that they made it very clear. They can't do anything with 2.5 until this closes. They get that 30-day period of clearance, and then they can start to integrate networks. And Neville is ready. Neville's he's just sitting, waiting. He's twiddling his fingers this needs to happen. This needs to happen. I need to do this 2.5 gigahertz thing. Come on, right?
Right.
Just dying to get his hands on it. And then they will be continuing to upgrade millimeter wave in large city center based locations.
I like that plan. I think that's a really, really good way of handling this because we know the limitations of high band 5G. We know the limitations of millimeter wave. And I think that this is honestly probably the best way that a company could roll this out. Verizon's kind of doing the opposite way. And I totally see T Mobile's point of this being a bad idea because what they're doing is they're going to roll out the low band 600 megahertz 5G that covers tons and tons and tons of people all at once. Yeah, the speeds won't be quite as good as what you might get on higher bands, but you're going to have 5G and you're still going to see an increase in speeds and probably even a decrease in latency. And then they roll out the 2.5 and then they roll out millimeter wave where it's absolutely necessary. Verizon's going to have to spend tons and tons of money if they want to roll out a high band all over.
They were saying that 200 million people will have access to 5G with low band, like with this approach that they have. It's pretty awesome to think like you're going to take the pre-existing 85 or so million customers you have now. You're going to add about 54 million in Sprint. So where does that put you? About 135 native customers on your network. You're going to be supporting all the MVNOs and MNOs. You'll be supporting Dish and Boost and all of that. So let's slap on another 20 to 30 million, would you say?
I'd say that sounds pretty good.
Okay. So you're exceeding about 150 million. Verizon's going to be serving the same number of customers as is AT&T. They're about there as well. So they're saying average speeds are going to be 450 megabits per second. You'd never get slowed. The whole deprioritization thing will be a thing of the past by 2024. Like, we won't even be talking about that. Like, you won't have 2 megabits per second to video anymore. You'll be doing, 4K and 8K at that point. So I'm excited for that, actually.
Because 5G is much more spectrum efficient and it works better about giving devices access to that network. 200,000 devices in an area on LTE, and the LTE network doesn't necessarily crash, but it's so slow that it's hardly usable. 200,000 devices in that same area on a 5G network, and it's not even going to stutter.
And it's going to be great. I mean, video resolution playback is going to be awesome. IoT is going to be fully supported. There'll be slices and segments for autonomous vehicles and medical equipment and robotics. And the latencies are going to drop tremendously. Because remember, standalone hardware and all of the upgrades, like, people still don't understand. There's going to be 5G sites. There's going to be LTE and 5G sites that are shared. Like, it's going to be like a multi-faceted attack. It's not one way. And I think where locations require it, stadiums, arenas, you're going to see millimeter wave too. I mean, it calls for it. That's a situation that does. So, I mean, they Neville spoke about the layered cake, and they love that analogy. I get it. It makes total sense. I don't know. It's everything lines up. Everything seems to make sense. The approach has a method. There's no madness. It's all method. It seems like it's going to work, and I'm all for it.
In downtown, like New York, Chicago, LA, Minneapolis, I could definitely see high band 5G. And in areas where for some reason you step inside and you can't get the high band 5G anymore, it automatically drops to 2.5. And then on the edges of the city, as you're starting to go out further away from the downtown area, you drop completely to 2.5 and you just stay there. And then if you need to go rural, you drop down to 600 and you stay there.
Tech Tuan is asking about if you have bad credit on Sprint, never paid Sprint back, what are they going to do with that since T-Mobile Sprint is one? I mean, if your credit's bad, your credit's bad. It's irrelevant if it's with Sprint or T-Mobile or Verizon or whoever. So, it's not going to make a difference. I would say, expect that to carry over in terms of your credit history. So
I would say try to get one of those secured cards or whatever and start rebuilding your credit, because
yeah,
that's what it sounds like you need.
yeah, because the carriers, I mean, they check into the same credit unions, so it's not going to make a difference. The last thing I want to mention in terms of information from the announcement, did you see the opening video? It was
Video is kind of
it
hard for me.
was okay, but like the two people that were involved in the very beginning was Mike Sievert and John Leisure. They were the
Oh, and
two.
John, weren't they
Okay, so
standing around
those two
some sort
guys.
of table?
Yeah, yeah, they were just like hanging out by this table, and they had like the announcement up on the wall or whatever. The one
Behind
thing
them.
I want now, usually it's John by himself. I think I think Mike is the guy, man. I think the exit plan is John's getting 80 plus million. He's done, man. This merger, he's gonna close out. He's gonna cash out 80 plus million out of this. I think John's good is gone. They asked him about it too, by the way, Dave. They said, what
They did.
happens to these initiatives? What happens to these guarantees? What happens to these promises if you go? And John said, there we are committed to these. Full execution of all promises, guarantees, and deals. And Mike spoke to it too. He said, we're going to follow through. All this is getting done. Mike's the incumbent, bro. Mike is
Yep.
the successor.
I think Mike's. Yep, I totally think so. Because
He's
he had Mike on stage with him, and he did
right.
that with the conference call.
Mike is the incumbent. Mike is going to take over. Mike is probably. I like Mike better than I like John, man. He's. It's hard for me to relate to John. Like I get the business mind,
If
but Mike can have that business mind too. He's just not. Come on, man. You don't think John is like a petulant child sometimes?
I would agree. See, the thing is, though, I really actually jive with John. I like the way John works because he takes that whole what is supposed to be a CEO thing and he throws it in the trash, and he works, especially for my age group. Like, I'm a millennial. I'm 24 years old. That kind of thing works with my group, in my opinion. Like, we don't want some stuck up, like, 70, 80-year-old guy in a suit and tie running
But
what's
Mike
supposed to be
Sievert's not
a
that though.
national.
Come on, man.
Well, no, Mike Sievert's definitely not that, but I like the way John works. I like that spirit he has. And you're right. I think Mike Sievert is going to do a very good job at running the company. But I will say, I will miss the fire of John. I think John lights a fire under people's rear ends when he needs to.
Yeah, I like the Mike Sievert move. I think it's going to be him. I don't think there's any question about it. I don't think it's going to be anybody else, honestly. Mike seems like he's hand in hand. All operations are running through him and John, and they seem to be, like tied at the hip. I think Neville is going to continue on as kind of the master behind the network. And I don't know. I could see John going within a couple of years, 2021, 2022. Let the network integration kind of begin, get into full swing, see some of that 2.5 rolled out within like the first year or two. I mean, after that, they're just putting finishing touches. T-Mobile TV takes off with T-Vision. The home internet and broadband takes off. John just has to see that, taking off, and then he can go. And he doesn't really have to worry about anything.
I just want to see somebody, like, again, I think Mike Sievert is a really good business person, but I want to see somebody have the same spirit as John does. Maybe they need like that marketing officer that they have. Maybe that person needs
The guy with the hat?
be yeah. Yeah, maybe the marketing officer needs to be the next John, like,
I don't know.
because they need somebody to
I think they got to
fire up.
transition. No, man. I think they can do some of that without being extra. Come on, man. John's not extra.
Oh, John's extra. But as I said, I think that's what relates him to the younger crowd.
Bruh, he rocks pink shoes, man.
So what? He
Nobody
loves
does
what he
that.
does.
Nobody
He
does
loves
that.
what
Nobody wears pink shoes, man.
he loves what he does. If you enjoy something you do or you enjoy something you stand for, you're going to do something. Like, yeah, John is an advertisement. I get it. But as I said earlier,
And that's
I
by
would
choice. Nobody tells him to do that.
no one tells him to do it. He does it by choice because he wants to. Like, probably people are like, John, why are you doing that? John's like, because I can and because it's awesome. I like it and it works. So
Pete, you're lying. You don't rock
as
pink shoes. Pete's a liar.
as I said, like I'd be willing, I'm willing to give up something like faster speeds for home internet for something I believe in. And I think that's how a lot of the millennial generation thinks. They're willing to take a cut in one thing if they believe in what they're supporting. I believe in T-Mobile. I believe that they know what they're doing and they're going to get stuff done. And I think John is kind of the same way. He believes in what he's doing.
You know, my takeaway from today's announcements, I mean, it's a single announcement with multiple parts. My takeaway is the Uncarrier gets supercharged, as they stated. That's kind of like a John quote. It's supercharged. They're basically saying, Ricky, I do not wear pink boxers. Thank you very much. He's basically saying these are things that would happen regardless of the merger. It would just happen later. It wouldn't be able to be expedited as it would be with the merger because of the capacity of what Sprint brings to the table with their assets. So I think what he's basically saying is they're going to push pedal to the metal, get all of this done within 3 to 5 years, meet all these guarantees, provide all these extra services, all these different deals. I mean, we're going to see major disruptions within 3 to 5 years. And John has been calling people out this whole time. He called out Charter. He called out Comcast. He calls out Verizon. He dogged Verizon for like 2 minutes. He made fun of Hans Vestberg. He talked about their millimeter wave, like the same things he does about the maps and all of that. I mean, he covered all of that stuff. He doesn't leave anybody safe. AT&T, the 5G thing, he puts everybody on blast. And, like at some point, like that kind of sort of has to kind of step back a little bit because they've got to move on from it because they become the ones with the target. I think T-Mobile becomes a market leader in 5 years because for people that are on Verizon or AT&T now, if you've been with them for 20, 30 years, you don't know who T-Mobile is. You really don't. You know them as the smaller carrier, right? It used to be the cheap carrier. Well, they've gotten more premium and they've gotten more value-based and their performance has improved. So within the next 3 to 5 years, people are going to be waking up because they're going to see the market share differences shrinking. And they're going to see that the services that T-Mobile offers all through a single network, their cost is going to be lower than Verizon and AT&T's because they're not separating their home broadband and they're not separating their TV. Everything's going to be over one network. That really streamlines cost and upgrades and maintenance.
You're right. It does streamline those things. And T-Mobile realizes that the future is digital. Whether it's TV, it's going to be streamed over the internet. Whether it's phone service, it's going to be done either over, it's going to be done over the internet or over wireless. Like a lot of, my generation realizes this, but it seems like a lot of the older people don't realize this. Like people I know that are older still have home telephones. It's like, why do you need that thing for?
I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do a video on John and his exit strategy. T-Mobile's kind of transition to somebody, as a CEO to transition to the new T-Mobile. I'll probably do a video on that. I'm probably also going to do a video on Mike Sievert as an executive, how qualified he is, his type of style, his leadership qualities. I think those are all meaningful things to look at. So I'll probably do a video on that. I think all the announcements today were fantastic. Verizon is not doing this. AT&T is not doing this. They're not offering anything like this. So to me, the Uncarrier 1.0 is like it's the Uncarrier that it's always been, now with ammunition. They didn't have that ammunition before because they didn't have the assets. Like Deutsche Telekom is ready to spend tens of billions. They're going to spend 40 billion in the next 3 years. And they're going to spend 60 billion in the next 5 or 6 years. So that's on average 10 to 15 billion annually. When T-Mobile usually spends between what? 6 to 8 billion annually?
6 to 8. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So they're going to essentially double the expenditure most years, and then they'll probably start to scale it back in 2024. They're going to probably, bring it back to about 10 billion annually. But just think about all the business they're going to be doing. Think about all the converts they're going to get, all the people migrating from other carriers, and the T-Vision and the home broadband and these other services. It'll all be there. They'll be generating the revenue.
Verizon and AT&T, I don't think are scared of T-Mobile right now. And I think that's a big mistake.
Yeah.
I think that's a really big mistake, like colossal mistake.
I think we'll know more when the CBRS band goes up for auction here in the summer. We'll know if they are, because if they're not, they don't buy the mid-band. If they are, they're going to buy tons of mid-band. I'm going to do a video on that also. I got to cover the whole band 48 thing. Band 46 or 48? 48. I'll be covering that. And then we'll talk about the auction itself. That's summer of 2020. T-Mobile doesn't have to buy any of that.
No, with this 2.5, they'll be well positioned.
The mid-band that's going to be for auction in the summer is 3.5 to 3.8. They're going to have 2.5. I mean, theoretical yield, okay, so the 3.5 to 3.8 is a little bit higher capacity, but the range on the 2.5 will be a little bit better. So it's, it's good enough.
It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, quite frankly. 2.5, 3.8. Like 3.8 is going to have slightly better speed, slightly shorter range. 2.5 is going to have slightly better range, slightly lower speed.
And don't get it twisted. For everybody out there that's watching and listening in, T-Mobile is not just putting one specific type of connectivity in a certain market. They're going to be aggregating bands. They're going to be putting 600 megahertz together with 2.5 gigahertz, right? They're going to be beamforming signals. They're going to be, there's going to be some really, really fast locations. There's going to be some rural parts that are only getting 100 plus megabits per second. There's going to be some cities and some suburban areas that are going to be pushing the limits with like a full gig of speed. And the full gig itself doesn't matter. What matters is you're never going to be slowed. So as our data needs increase and our throughput is, we get a higher demand, the network is going to keep up with what we need. I'm actually really happy and excited that I'm currently a T-Mobile customer. I finally added a line. Pete hooked it up with a SIM card, added a line to his account, and I've liked the service so far. I'm keeping it, and I'm probably going to keep it long term, and I'm going to ride out with them on this.
Imagine a carrier aggregation between 71, 41, and 2.
Well, if it's going to be 5G, they're not going to be going that way. So you're talking LTE?
I'm just talking about the bands,
okay.
The actual band numbers. I'm assuming 5G is going to keep the same band numbers and just change technologies.
I don't think so. I think they're doing something different with the 5G. We'll see.
Do you think they're completely changing the band numbers around?
I think with 5G they are. I think the LTE, but they already said they're not going to be using 2.5 gigahertz for LTE. So you're not going to see band 41. It's going to be changed. So whatever current band 41 is deployed by Sprint, I don't know when they're going to transition it to 5G, but all that current band 41 will eventually be 5G. I don't know. And band 71, obviously, they're going to do LTE and 5G. So the 600 megahertz, which is why, if you notice, they don't call it band 71 to the public. What does the public call it? They call it 600.
No, they call it 600. Yep, they call it 600 megahertz. They call it what it
So
is, frequency
yeah,
wise.
and that's probably the best way to do it because it emphasizes low band, right? Because they see numbers like, band 41 is deceptive. Like, what does 41 mean? I don't know what that means,
Yeah, because 600 is a lot lower than 1,900 or 2,500.
Right. So those are the announcements. That's everything from today's Uncarrier. I'm very excited. I think T-Mobile's got a lot to offer with these Uncarrier deals. There were tons of questions that came after the announcement. They're asking about speeds and they're asking about 5G rollouts. I thought it was interesting when they asked the question to John and Neville, or not Neville, Mike Sievert. They said, "Is the T-Mobile Connect available to all people?" They said yes, and then they said, or they asked, "Is Connecting Heroes a first responder competitor?" They said no. They said
It's an
Connecting
AT&T
Heroes
competitor,
is an AT&T competitor. So I thought that was interesting because they're basically saying, we'll offer you the same thing that they can offer you, but we're going to do it at a better price and we're going to give you the same type of priority. And, you're going to get all access and everything. So it's like, you don't have to go to AT&T if you're a first responder anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's fantastic because there's a misconception. If you're a first responder, you get AT&T. T-Mobile's saying you don't have to anymore. We're giving you another option.
which is what they're good at. One thing that kind of made me laugh at that question answer session, I think two people asked whether Sprint was revaluing, T-Mobile was revaluing the 26 billion for Sprint, and John's like, I'm not going to answer that. And then a little later, someone else comes and asks the same question. And he's like, I'm not going to answer that. It's like, if you didn't answer it once, maybe don't ask it again.
Let me speak to that. I'm gonna have a video that's dropping tomorrow on this. I'm gonna talk about this topic. Let me just say this: if T-Mobile tries to lowball Sprint because of their bad quarter, because the value is down, that will be the biggest mistake they ever made. You do not want to go and try and renegotiate this deal. You can't do anything at this point. Dave, this is like do not touch. It is drying right now. Like seriously, they cannot try to renegotiate. Do not do anything. Who cares if you could get the deal down by a few billion? Who cares? It doesn't matter because the end game is a 5G national network.
Yeah, the ink is drying on the piece of paper. Don't touch the thing because
Let
you're
it
going
go.
to break it if you just if you spent a couple more billion than maybe you should have, you can pay it off.
Yeah.
You'll pay it off. It'll be okay. Don't worry about it because if you do, you're liable to end up in a worse pickle than you're liable to end up in a bad situation.
Let me tell you about what happened when I bought my house. And this is a great analogy. I'm bidding on a house, right? I bid on one house, 2 homes, 3 homes. I'm not getting the deals. They're taking other people's deals. I'm giving the asking price for the homes. I'm not even negotiating. Whatever it's listed at, I'm offering. They're turning me down, right? I'm talking to my realtor. She says, you're going to have to offer 1,000 above the listing. And then I think you're going to get it. So you know what I did, Dave? On the next house that we really liked, me and the wifey, I offered 1,000 more. And guess what happened?
Yep.
We got the deal. Now, in the grand scheme of things, aren't I not going to be paying this home off for 35 years, 25 years?
You are.
So what's the difference if for the extra couple of thousand? On the grand scheme of thing, that payment, that's a couple of bucks a month. It's nothing.
Yeah, that's so an extra maybe 30 or 40 bucks.
But you get what I'm saying? Like in the grand scheme of things, it's water under the bridge. So Deutsche Telekom, T-Mobile, do not reopen negotiations. Do not try to lowball Sprint. Don't do anything to jeopardize this. I'll talk more about this tomorrow on the video. They cannot jeopardize anything. Everything is trending up. They cannot touch this deal. Leave it alone. Walk away from the number. It's fine. The value of the 2.5 gigahertz is estimated to be between 30 and 40 billion. I know they're taking on 30 billion in debt, but you could figure that out. Do not ruin
just
the
don't mess
deal.
with it.
Can't do it.
Leave it alone.
I know John doesn't care. He's taken his 80 mil and he's gone. But Deutsche Telekom, do not reopen the negotiations. That's stupid. That is foolish. I can't recommend that. I'm telling you, there's way too much risk. But that's just me.
Because if they lowball Sprint too hard, Sprint's going to be like, okay, we're done. And they're going to walk away and T-Mobile's going to lose everything.
Because if you think about it, Sprint from the prepaid side has almost a 5% churn rate. If anything, that's just weakening Dish. So in a way, it's still helping the merger. Like if it's still helping the new T-Mobile in a way. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't know. I can't see them doing it. I'll cover it in the video tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about it there, and that's pretty much that. So we got 155 in the live. I want to thank you guys for being here. If you could please like this video as you guys have come in and you've live chatted. I want to appreciate or give my appreciation to all of you that made it here tonight. I want to give a big shout out to all my moderators, Rafi, Jamaal. I think I saw Technoid. Pete was here earlier. He might still be in there. I'm not sure how many other moderators I had, but it was good to have you guys. Thank you to all that participated in the live chat. Thank you for all the super chats. Any PayPal donations that came in during the broadcast. I think there might have been a couple. Rafi, I know you gave one, so thank you for that.
Those random stickers.
The random stickers. Thank you guys for those. The super chat stickers. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun tonight. It was fun to report the news this morning. You know, I watched it while I was on my lunch, produced the video. Dave, I watched it and produced the video, edited it, sent it, like uploaded it. I did it all in like 50 minutes, man.
Nice.
It was crazy. It was like the most intense 50 minutes I've ever had as like a creator. It was just bananas. It was nuts. Like I'm taking notes and I'm writing down all these things, all these details, trying to listen to the questions. It was just bananas. But it was like, it was excitement. And I think that's one thing you could say, if anything, about T-Mobile. And we're in a market where AT&T is getting rid of everything and raising prices. We're in a situation where Verizon thinks that they're going to deploy 5G nationally, one NBA stadium section at a time.
Yeah. T-Mobile knows how to market. Let's just put it that way, because T-Mobile knows how to talk to the people and get the people to listen to them.
Yeah, it was exciting today, man. And I love this type of the shaking and the moving, the deals. You know, I will say that I will miss John when he goes because of stuff like this. You know, because T-Mobile's a newer network, because they're the up and comer, they're the underdog. You know, it's pretty apparent like he's on his way out, but he's leaving it in a good place, and I think it's a good talking point. So I'll cover that in tomorrow's video, but that's just kind of a preview of where I kind of stand on that. So I think that kind of wraps this. Go ahead.
For those of you who haven't, take a look at the history of Sprint video if you haven't seen it. It's a really good one.
Yeah, I got the history of Sprint video was just posted yesterday. The patrons have had access for like about a week or so. At least I think I uploaded it maybe Monday or something like that. So patrons always get early access. Big shout out to the Patreon page. Big shout out to the Discord server. Big shout out to Dave for being on today, joining me for this momentous occasion. So thanks for being here, Dave. Appreciate it. Dave B's Tech is in the house. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. Thanks again for all the super chats. Thanks for the live chatting, guys. Much appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed your time. Hopefully we got to some of your questions. You kind of know all the pieces and the parts of this announcement, the Uncarrier 1.0. I did drop a video earlier. If you missed any part of this live stream, it does DVR, so you can watch it later. Other than that, we'll be looking to watch. I mean, December 9th, we've got Court. December 6th, we've got 5G. A lot of stuff going on at the new T-Mobile, and we're just getting started. 2020 is going to be a huge year. That's pretty much it. Dave, any any kind of closing statements or anything you want to say before we get off here?
It's been a lot of fun seeing T-Mobile's evolution into this, and from the very first part where they announced the thing back in April of 18 until now, it's been interesting to see what they've done and like just where things are going. I think this is a really good thing for consumers, even though some people I don't think realize it is.
Yeah, they're the beneficiaries in all of this. And then see, and people don't realize I've always promoted T-Mobile because I have Verizon. And Verizon just started offering value. They decreased pricing a little bit. They upgraded hotspot data. They upgraded deprioritization thresholds. They started offering more value. 720p resolution from 480p, like with some of their plans. It's because of T-Mobile, so I'm happy to see that happening. And of course, this puts all of Sprint's assets to the use of the public. No more locking it in the vault and not being able to use it because of debt and having issues with, network spending. Kevin Taylor, thank you for your super chat, man. Got a text from AT&T because I'm an old plan. They're dropping my unlimited and paperless billing discount. Great. None of that happens at T-Mobile. Got to call it like it is. A spade's a spade, right, Dave?
Yep, absolutely. AT&T dropping a discount does not surprise me at all.
So on that note, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here this evening. You have been watching the SMT podcast, talking the new T-Mobile Uncarrier 1.0. Special guest with me tonight was Dave B's Tech. Thank you to all that participated. I'm glad you guys could make it tonight. On behalf of the SMT Nation, the Sneedles and the Sneedlings, I'm the SMT. On behalf of Dave B's Tech, we'll see you guys on the next video.
See ya.
Peace.